Welcome to the Wellness Business Podcast. Simple strategies to cut through the online noise to fast-track the growth of your wellness business with Karen Paddock and Kathleen Legris.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Wellness Business Podcast. I'm Kathleen Legris, and I'm here with my co-host and favorite person on the planet, Karen Paddock. How's it going, Karen?
Oh my gosh, what an introduction. I'm great. I feel the same way about you, actually.
You really are. You're like my favorite person of all time.
Aw,
Yeah,
thanks.
I just
feel
love
the same
you.
way.
Thank you.
I always tell you, you like crack me up like no one else. Like you have me laughing every single day with something.
I'm glad. And ditto right back at ya. Hey, so today you may have already noticed, our listeners, we're doing something a little bit different on this episode. This is going to be a fun one because Karen is going to be in the hot seat. I'm interviewing her so I can pick her brain all about how she successfully built relationships with several referral partners when she was health coaching back in 2012. Karen had a very specific process that she followed that over time connected her with referral partners, and she's going to share that with you today. And it's funny because this question just came up in my Facebook group a couple of days ago, so the timing is perfect. So I know this is going to be one of our most popular episodes. Not only is Karen going to reveal exactly how she approached referral partners step by step, but she's also going to give away a sample of the exact letter that she sent out that resulted in her getting a 50 to 60% success rate with getting face-to-face meetings scheduled. That is pretty incredible. And you can get Karen's email template on the website by visiting wbpodcast.com, episode 19. All right, what do you say, Karen? Are you ready to teach us your strategy?
Yeah, I definitely am, and I'm excited about this topic. But I have to tell you, this is so interesting, the timing on this. So my friend Connie sent me a screenshot. So you know how on Facebook always gives you memories every single day from the past, right? So my friend Connie sent me, I was a health coach for her daughter, and she sent me a screenshot of a memory that popped up on her Facebook page today. And it's from September 27th, 2011. And it says, so my super smart and very good friend Karen is a health and wellness coach and has a great weekly newsletter. Check out her website to subscribe. Cool recipes and info too. So isn't that crazy that like I'm going back in time today with you for this interview about referral partners and how I did that. And Connie this morning sends me a screenshot and she says, you've come a long way, baby.
Oh, that's so cool.
Isn't that so cool?
Yeah. All right. So I think it's important to set the stage for our listeners.
I agree.
So can you tell us, what was your business like back then, like when you were first getting started? And why did you decide that finding referral partners was going to be part of your marketing strategy?
Yeah, I don't know why it is, but from the minute I joined IIN and started going through the coaching certification, I made a decision pretty quickly, or I innately knew that there were two ways I wanted to go about marketing my business. One was online. I for sure wanted an online presence. I knew social media would somehow be a part of that. I had no idea how. But the other way was through referral partners, meaning that if I could connect myself and network with and meet enough respected business people in my community or my surrounding communities that were also singing my praises and referring me to their clients, I would have less work to do on my own from the standpoint of one-to-one marketing, right? That so many health coaches and fitness pros are dealing with. So I was thinking long-term strategy and how can I really get the biggest bang for my buck or the most response to the time that I'm putting in? And developing referral partner relationships were right at the top, right? And I knew that the momentum that was reflected back to my business because of those relationships was was really going to be priceless. I knew that, and actually it came forth that way as well, and it was well worth the effort. So from my perspective, having respected health and wellness professionals singing my praises and recommending me to their clients was a real, plus for my business. So I just want to say, and I want to be really clear about this, why I felt so strongly about this. I feel, and I still feel this way today, even though I'm not, in the health coaching space, I'm still making connections. I'm still looking for people to give referrals to me. The benefits that come from making those types of connections, I want to give a list of those because I want everyone to kind of get in the same space I was in at the time. So number one is that respected professionals in your area, or at the time in my area, speaking highly of you and promoting you to their clients and colleagues. I mean, you can't get a better, that is word of mouth, right? You can't get a better recommendation. Number two, your business grows at a much faster pace when many people are marketing your services. So again, just like I knew social media somehow would play into it, I knew that referral partners would change the game and really speed up that process for me. Number three, you're able to use your referral partners as a testimonial for your business. So when you start, working with these referral partners, and maybe you're referring clients to them and they're referring clients to you, or maybe they even want to test your services, they now are in a space where they can easily give you a testimonial. Number four is you will fill your open client spaces much more quickly, right? And with a lot less effort, again, if you have these people recommending you. And number five, in some cases, referral partners will provide office space to you for conducting individual client sessions, group sessions, or teaching classes. So they really, even more than a referral partnership, they want a true partnership, right? Where you're actually kind of part of the face of their business. So that's really exciting. And truthfully, I can't see where there's any downside. And you just need to be able to claim your expertise with your selected referral partners, just like you're doing with your individual clients. It all works together collectively, which will definitely substantially boost the number of clients you're serving. And we're going to go into all the details, the mindset, the how-to, the step-by-step, as Kathleen continues to interview me. But I don't see where there's a downside for anyone that's in business to not go out and build some type of networking relationships.
Yeah, and I think a couple of things that you touched on are huge. It's a great example of having social proof and having that instant credibility with someone when you have those referral partners that are endorsing you and sending their patients or their clients to you, right? It's like instant credibility boost, right? Wouldn't you say?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And I just want to say, and I'll probably reiterate this a few times, this doesn't happen overnight, right? This is a relationship. And so many marketers use the analogy of, when we meet our ideal client, we want to ask them to marry us on the first date. It's the same thing with a referral partner. Some are ready to jump on board right away, and some it takes time. It takes nurturing. This whole business concept, is some strategies are long term, some are short term, some are just consistent in your basis or in your business all the time, and you have to be willing to play in all of those spaces, really.
Awesome. Okay, I have a question for you because
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to this. People may be listening thinking, "Oh, that sounds really good," but they're nervous. When you first approached your first few potential referral partners, like, did you have that pit in your stomach? Were you nervous or not at all?
So I don't know if I would say nervous so much. I guess I kind of, I'm lucky from the standpoint that I think I have a little bit of a blind spot when it comes to nerves. And I take that, I'm actually thinking it's a gift because it allows me to step into situations that I probably have no business being in. Now, don't laugh.
I love it.
So it I don't know. It's been that way all through my life. Here's the deal, though. When I first started this process, I wasn't even totally through IIN yet. I didn't even have my coaching certification yet. But I believed in this concept so strongly that I just started, and we're going to go into this, I think, in a little more detail, how I got started, but I just started where it felt familiar, like in my own backyard. And I started testing the waters and having conversations. And that started just with telling people I was going through a certification, telling people I was going to become a health coach, right? And owning that space. And then, okay, now I started testing it with professionals in my area that I knew, and then testing the waters there and getting comfortable there. And then that let me move into a space where I was actually doing what I'll call cold calling with people that I didn't know. So it was a process for sure, but you just have to feel and get in that headspace of you have something to offer. This is a win-win relationship. You have as much to give them as they have to give you, and that what you bring to the table has a high value. And if you can get in that headspace that you're just having a conversation and you have value to bring to the relationship, they're not doing you a favor, right? It's synergistic, then it's a lot easier to do and move forward.
I love it. All right, now we know why working to build relationships with referral partners can be great for health coaches.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how you got started? And I think this is where what you did really stands out as a game changer.
Sure. So my approach to selecting referral partners probably is different than most other health coaches. And it's definitely different than how IIN taught me. And that's why I felt it was so important to share my process. And was so fun that we decided to do it where you were interviewing me. So first, I didn't approach just any doctor or any chiropractor or any yoga studio or any gym owner. I did my research before I made the initial contact. So I'm going to take you back where I was, in my coaching business. My coaching practice specialized in treating women with premenopausal symptoms. Okay. So having been there myself and knowing how to cure many of these symptoms through natural remedies, I felt that this was the perfect target for me, which is definitely something that IIN teaches, right? Like if you have had an experience and you've had a success, then that has a high potential of being a really good target audience for you. So I had personal experiences in this space and I was passionate about helping these women. So the key here is that I was reaching out to potential referral partners that specialized in supporting the same target market that I had. That means that we both me and the referral partner have a passion for helping the exact same people, right? So chances are, and this is how I approached it. Chances are we're speaking the same language and we know many of the same options for remedies. And most importantly, we can engage in an educated conversation. And although our approaches might be different, we're talking about the same topic, right? It's the thing that it's our wheelhouse, both of us. And the key to building rapport with these potential referral partners is that I know they get it, right? Like I know they get it. And even though their approach might not be the natural approach that I'm taking, we're still having the same conversation and we're still hearing the same pain points, the same issues, the same complaints, right? And so I knew at that point that I could at least get to a place where I could establish an educated conversation. I could get in front of them, or I felt like I had the goods to get in front of them. And then where it went from that was really anybody's guess. But if they were truly the kind of person that I wanted to work with, which is passionately serving their clients, like I passionately served mine, then it was a good synergy. And it wasn't always a good synergy. Like some of them, it was just like, what's the next patient? Da, da, da. Like they're just right, like numbly zombies going through the day. Check them off my list. Like I said, it has to be a synergistic relationship. It has to be give and take, and you have to have a connection. So not everyone is going to be a target referral partner. You have to look for the people that are serving your target audience.
Yeah, that's fantastic, because I think it's so much easier to approach a referral partner when you know you have basically the same target market. And like you said, you're speaking the same language, you totally get each other. So I love that.
Yeah.
All right. So in your opinion, do you think every single health coach should be working to build some sort of referral network?
I'd like to say yes. I would really like to say yes, but I'm also realistic enough to know that there are many that just will not be able to do it. Like it feels too much like you have to sell yourself, and it's like barking up the wrong tree, or like swimming upstream, or whatever you want to say. I'm a big believer in find marketing techniques that work for you. Now, like I said, I didn't just go cold turkey out into the world. I did it in phases. I did it in steps. And I'm not saying that I never was nervous. I certainly was nervous at times, but I also knew that if I could help one person because of a referral partner, it made it worth that nervous feeling that I had gone through to get to that point. And really, once you do it once, you can do it again and again and again. So I wish every single person listening would start developing those relationships. And if you aren't comfortable yet getting in the space of what we're going to go into today, how I did the cold calling, right? How the process that I took, start in your own backyard. Who do you know? And you've probably heard this before, but maybe you haven't taken advantage of it. Or maybe I'll say something here today that will give you the courage to move forward. And I hope that's the case. But, who do you know? Like, and I think I'm going to talk about this. I actually know I'm going to talk about this. I started with 2 specific people that I knew served my market. Number one was my OB-GYN, all right? Like I went to my next appointment. I told her what I was doing and, point blank asked her, would you be willing to refer me to your clients? She said yes. So I sent her my information. The second person I went to, my friend Connie, actually, that I just mentioned at the beginning that sent me the Facebook post today, her sister is a doctor. Completely different town, not in my area, but many of the women she treats, she's not an OB-GYN, but many of the women she treats were older women in their 40s, 50s, 60s dealing with premenopausal symptoms. And I knew she was a great reference. And personally, on a personal level, she is a believer, even though she's a Western medicine doctor, she's a big believer in natural health. She can't use it in her practice so much because she's locked in because of insurance companies and everything that goes with being a real doctor, right? The limitations. But it was an outlet for her to be able to recommend me to the people that she knew outside of her office. And she had a huge network. So she couldn't recommend me inside her office, but she had a big network outside of her office that allowed me to get new clients. So that's where I started, and that's what I would really encourage everyone listening. If you aren't in the space yet that you feel comfortable going out and selling your services really to a referral partner that you don't know, try testing the waters with someone you do know.
I love it. Yeah. Start in that place where you feel comfortable. Start with who you know. Mm-hmm. So once you've exhausted like the easy targets for finding referral partners, what did you do next?
Okay. So I did that. And like I said, felt comfortable in that space. And people were starting to get, the word was getting out about this health coaching thing. And back in 2011, that's not really that long ago, 6 years ago, but it was not as well known as it is now. In fact, I was in the very first graduating class of IIN that was an online course. Prior to me, the one that started just 3 months before me, you had to physically go to New York once a quarter, or no, once a month. I'm sorry, once a month for your classes, and you were there for an entire weekend once a month, which was wonderful because I wouldn't have been able to do it if that was the case. So, okay. So when I started thinking, okay, I've really exhausted my warm market of people that I can connect with, I started thinking, okay, now how am I going to get in contact with other people? And I started, it was honestly a fluke that it went this way, but it worked like gangbusters. I found in my local grocery store a magazine called the Natural Awakenings magazine. It's a publication, comes out once a month. It's all across the United States. It's in a lot of cities, and it's called Natural Awakenings. And so I picked up one of these, not even with the intention of looking for referral partners. I can say that. I just picked it up because I thought, oh, this is right in my wheelhouse. Let's see what they have to say. So I started reading, and there were lots of articles written about doctors in my local area, or chiropractors, or yoga instructors, and things that were going on in their businesses. Oh, they just opened a new office. Oh, they just added a new doctor. Oh, this. And they were all more in the natural space because it's the Natural Awakenings magazine, right? And then in the back of this magazine, there were ads that some of them were actually picture ads. Some of them were just text ads, but they were people advertising their services. And so I started thinking to myself, like, okay, these people are advertising their business. They are clearly in a headspace that they would believe in what I am learning. They would believe in what health coaching offers to a client or a customer. So why don't I try to start having conversations with these people? So I went through and I made a list. I made a list of the people in that magazine that I thought, okay, these people could potentially be serving my market. And I would do this every single month. I would make the list and I would break it down by week. Okay. Each week, I'm going to contact this many people. I would choose 2 to 3 names off the list and I would contact them. And we'll talk about how I did it in just a minute. But it was very methodical. It didn't feel overwhelming. It was easy to manage, 2 to 3. Once I got my template down, right? It was 30 minutes to an hour a week that I would invest. And then I would it was more about the follow-up after that. So the new leads, I would look for 2 to 3 new leads each week that I would reach out to.
Wow, you know what I have to say? This just confirms what I already know about you. You are very organized and determined. I love it.
Well,
I do. It's true.
So thanks. So yeah, so it was easy. Once I had my system down, as we all know, once we get a system, right? Whether it's the system of, getting our kids into the bath and into bed and a story and to sleep each night, or this kind of system, once you get a system that works for you, it's easy to keep it in check.
Yeah, and you were smart. You didn't say, okay, I'm going to reach out to 20 people. It was 2 or 3 that you knew you could reach out to every week. So once you had that list, when you say you would reach out to them, how exactly did you do that?
So great question. And we've been alluding to this through this entire episode. So my method, certainly by no stretch of the mile, is the only method. And I want to state that, like, it could be different for you, but this method worked for me. And I'll tell you all the reasons why, kind of like the method to my madness, why I did it this way. So I would compose a unique introductory letter to each of the 2 to 3 people, explaining why I was contacting them, why I chose them, and how we could support one another in business. So let's not forget that a referral partner has just as much potential to gain a client via a recommendation from you as you do from them. It's got to be a two-way street. And I keep saying that. It's got to be a synergistic relationship so they feel like there's something to gain, right? And I would always let them know how I learned about them, right? Also, if it was an article, so let me give you an example. So let's say that, this chiropractor just opened a new office. So when I would write the letter was a template, and we are going to give that to our listeners. We're going to give them a copy, but the letter was a template that I used that basically said a lot of the same things, but I would always customize it. And that's why I'm saying unique. I would personalize it, and I would say, hey, I saw you in the, Natural Awakenings publication. Congratulations on your new office. This is so exciting. And I would always include that so that I was making them feel like I was part of their world. Like they knew that I took enough time, that I read the article. I didn't just grab their name. I paid attention, right? I might go to their website and see, are they writing weekly blogs? Oh, I just read, your last blog where you talked about blah, blah, blah. So I wanted them to know that I went the extra mile and that I really felt like there was a relationship there. So I would send them the letter that was customized. I would talk to them about something that was personal to them, right? It wasn't just pitching, it was personal to them. So we all know, we love when people recognize stuff in us, right? Like call out our gifts, like Kathleen saying, I'm organized. That makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. So when you do that for someone else, someone that's a total stranger, it stands out. It doesn't feel as much like, okay, this person's just trying to sell me or they're just trying to use my clientele, right? So this really personalized my letter and let them know I cared about their exciting news. And Kathleen, I think this is, a really good time to let everyone know like how they're going to get a hold of that letter and that template. Do you want to tell them?
I do. And this is gold, because just like in the Facebook group yesterday, well, what do I write? What do I say? I don't want to sound pitchy or salesy, because it's really important. You need to make it about them first. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you can get Karen's letter that she used to get referral partners by going to thewellnessbusinesspodcast.com/episode 19. And that will be sent right out to you. So you can go through and just customize that, personalize it as you want, and then bam, you're ready to go.
Perfect.
I think that may be one of the best freebies we've ever had.
Yeah. I mean, this is exactly, you're going to see, like, this is exactly the letter I sent. Perfect.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thank you for that. All right, so my next question is, how much time did you need? I know you said you did like 2 to 3 a week, but how much time did you need to allocate each week or each month to this strategy? And most of all, tell us what were some of your results?
Yeah, definitely. So this process would take me about an hour or less per month for each publication. So we're going to talk about the follow-up specifically in a minute. I know we're going to talk about that, but this would be the initial side of this strategy. So the initial side of identifying the people I was going to write to, and it's also the time it took to write. Okay, so about an hour for each publication. Okay. And my experience with this approach was that I was able to get in-person meetings on average with 50 to 60% of the people that I reached out to. And out of those in-person meetings, I had approximately 50% of those turn into referral relationships. Now, that did not mean I immediately had a client referral. That meant that What I mean by that is that person, this new referral partner, said, yes, Karen, I think you're a good fit. I like what you're doing. I think, I would like to work with you and see how this goes. So that means that the door was now open, right, for this synergistic relationship to take place. And earlier I said there was a method to my madness, and here's what I meant. So I intentionally sent letters rather than emails or cold calling, meaning going to an office. So the person I was addressing would have time to read and digest the information I sent in my letter, okay? So I also wanted them to have time to go through my brochure. I always included a brochure to see what my methodologies were and that we truly did support the same audience. So this is key, right? Again, this is about doing your research and knowing your niche. And I sent the letters to build on our connection and our relationship. And I was really pleased with that percentage. And as you can tell, I was claiming my expertise, and I wasn't being shy about letting my potential referral partners know we could be of service to one another. So this is really important, that you're allowing them the time and the space to absorb or read through or digest what you have to offer, so that when you do your follow-up, which we'll talk in a minute, they're already prepared, right? If you just walk into somebody's office and say, oh, I'd like to see, Dr. blah, 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 chances are Dr. blah, blah, blah isn't ready or has time or whatever. And so it's really important that you give them the space, but I'm going to tell you how to be really clear in your letter so that they know there's going to be follow-up. So you're setting the stage, kind of like we talk about with funnels, right? Like always leading to the next step. You're always leading your client to the next step. This is you setting the stage to lead your referral partner to the next step.
Awesome. And this is important to know, because not everyone, you're not going to hear back from everyone. You're just not there. It doesn't mean they're not interested.
Right.
So how did you follow up with the people that you sent letters to that didn't respond, that didn't reach out to talk to you?
Yeah, we definitely need to talk about this, because, and let me again say that 6 short years ago, the world was a different place even 6 years ago, right? Things are busier and crazier now more than ever. So just like we always talk about on this podcast, I made it crystal clear, as I said, what the next step was for our relationship. And here were the options I would give them in the letter. 1, they could reach out to me, which many of them did. Honestly, I was surprised, to tell you the truth. But because I approached it and I personalized it, many of them did reach out to me. Or 2, I would tell them in the letter, if I don't hear from you by such and such a date, you can expect a call from me. Okay. And the critical component to this process is that I would always keep my word and follow up on that exact date, not one day before, not one day after. And I encourage those of you that want to build a network of referral partners to begin this process immediately and do it regularly as part of your marketing efforts, right? Keep your head held high, claim your expertise, build these relationships that really can last a lifetime. This is a long-term strategy. I want to say that again, long-term strategy. And it's so much easier than you think. And your referral partners need to know as much about you as your individual clients do, because they're getting into a relationship with you, right? So your potential to fill your practice with paying clients, again, increases exponentially when you start connecting with referral partners. So this is huge. So you give them 2 choices, which is always what we recommend in marketing, right? 2 payment plans, click here, click here. 3 choices is too many. 1 choice isn't enough. 2 choices. You can reach out to me, or I will follow up with you on this date. There's no question. There's no ambiguity. It's very clear, and they know exactly what to expect.
I love it. So there's one thing I want to bring up that I've seen this question or this comment posted in my Facebook group, and it has to do with, going into a doctor's office where, you want to establish a referral relationship, and they say, oh, well, we refer to a dietitian and that's covered by insurance. So you may have another suggestion, but my suggestion for that is to acknowledge, thank them, maybe move on to the next place. But if you're finding that to be a pattern, I would think taking a step back and looking at other options, kind of like some that you brought up before, Karen, go to a yoga studio, talk to gym owners, massage therapists, where that issue of insurance really doesn't come into play.
Definitely. I mean, we have to constantly be reinventing what isn't working. I mean, we have to, right? We have to test the waters and then tweak it. So here's something else that I did. Again, this was just a fluke. I actually was reading my local newspaper, and it's had an article about a hospital that is in the next town from me. And the hospital had just, this is a crazy story, but whatever. This hospital had just sold to, like, it was a private hospital and it sold to a big conglomerate of hospitals. Okay. So in that sale, there was $25 million set aside for 5 communities that hospital supported for health and wellness programs. So when I read this, I saw that the following week they were having a meeting, right? I didn't live in this town. I lived in the next town. I didn't know if I had anything to offer. I was very nervous when I went to this meeting, but I thought, you know what? I have nothing to lose. This is way, way, way an opportunity like never before. If I can get on the ground, the ground floor of this hospital with $25 million that's looking to support their communities with health and wellness efforts, well, hey, this is going to be good for me, right? So I went to the first meeting, sat there. Everyone went around the room, and this wasn't their first meeting. It was just the first meeting that I had went to, but they were still in the very beginning stages. They didn't know what they were going to do with this money. They had no idea what kind of programs they were going to put in place, and they were looking for people to help them. And so I explained, I don't live in your town. Your hospital is not the hospital that I would have been going to. However, I do feel like I bring something to the table because at this point I was certified by IIN. I went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. I'm a certified health coach. I feel like I have something to bring to the table here, and I'm willing to participate in this group and share what I know. And they welcomed me with open arms. It was amazing. So after that meeting, I went up to the president, right? The guy that's running the show, introduced myself, shook his hand, gave him a card, gave him a brochure. And I was part of that group for the next 2 years. And it was a phenomenal experience for me. And they were still, even 2 years in, they had not yet really developed their programs as far as yet where I would have stepped in as a health coach doing teaching. But and then at that point, I had moved my business to business coaching. But I stayed on for 2 years in that health and wellness space, and I would have very easily been able to teach classes through these local communities. They were called coalitions. So this particular town was called Dexter. So it was the Dexter Wellness Coalition. And then the next town was, the Chelsea Wellness Coalition. And I was part of all of that, reaching out to local business owners, getting programs in place. And it was a phenomenal experience. And so the moral of the story is, pay attention to what is going on in your community. Get involved. Look for other avenues for you to make relationships. This might not be a traditional referral partnership, but if I would have stayed in the health coaching space, this would have been huge. And it was because I took the initiative after reading an article. I could have waited and said, oh, they're not even ready. I could have said, oh, I don't even have what they would want. I went there, I sat, I invested. I couldn't even begin to tell you how many hours of my time over those 2 years with those meetings once a month, and then all the additional work that I did on my own to support that coalition. But it was an amazing experience, and I got to know so many great people that the potential there was huge. So to answer your question, keep your eyes open. Look for things in your community where you can be of service. This isn't always initially about putting money in the bank. It is a long-term strategy. And whether you're connecting with someone that's connected to someone else, or you're connecting with that someone directly, those relationships matter. And you have to make this part of your marketing strategy. Even if you wanted an online business like I did, local mattered. It helped me get social proof.
Yeah, thanks for saying that, because I think in today's world, so many of us can be glued to our computers, but real life, in-person connections matter. Yeah.
I mean, I truly found my wings in that group in a lot of ways. And I became a very vocal advocate for a lot of things regarding health and wellness and what I had learned through IIN, and made them look, because none of them were health and wellness people. They were, business people in the community. They were, elected officials. They were all of those things, but they had no health and wellness presence. I was the only one. And so I needed to, I'll say set them straight, but really like give them the inside scoop of what's really happening in this world of health and wellness, like what really matters. And I really did spread my wings in that group as far as feeling, really confident in what I would say. And I'll tell you, there were a lot of times where I was like, do I really want to say this? Do I really want to speak up? And I was nervous when I did it, but I knew, again, for the good of the community, I had to share my thoughts. And because if I would have went home that night and not shared what I knew was right, or at least my opinion, I would forever feel like I didn't do my part. And that's a problem for me. So it's stages. Everyone listening, I just want you to know it's stages, but you've got to be able to step into the fear at whatever stage you are. That next stage is always going to feel fearful. You're never going to feel like, okay, yeah, I got this. This is easy. It's never going to feel that way. It'll feel that way eventually, but it's not going to feel that way initially.
And that's it's a really good reminder, because we do know a lot more than the general public, right? Like, look at you. You were new within that community there, but they were mostly business people. So you were the expert, even though you were new.
Right?
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So embrace it. Embrace the fear. Move forward and do your best. I mean, just come from a place of serving and helping. And I promise, I know this is, I guess people say it, but it's so true. The rest will fall into place if you just come from that place of serving. And these referral partners, they come in many shapes and sizes, and they look differently for each one of us, but it matters. It just matters from you, from a confidence standpoint, and from the point of changing the world.
Well, this was so awesome. Thank you for sharing your expertise and your tips. I definitely think we should do this again, because I like having you in the hot seat.
Yeah, no, next time it's your turn.
Oh, no. All right. Well, so, I do know this. We always like to leave with an action item. So what would you say the action item should be for this episode?
Yeah, I would like you to go to your local grocery store. Like almost every diner in my area has a Natural Awakenings publication. You can go online and search for naturalawakenings.com, I believe it is. I think we'll link to it in the show notes, but go there and see what cities are close to you so that you can get your hands on one. If there isn't a Natural Awakenings publication near you, there are other health and wellness publications. And just like I said, I found the lead about the hospital and the Wellness Coalition through our local newspaper. That was not through Natural Awakenings. So look, open your eyes and start looking for those leads so that you can start having conversations with people. And then once you get whatever it is, start with 2 to 3. Take my letter that I write, the good old fashioned, type it up, sign it, mail it, and don't email it, mail it in the mail. And see what happens and just start this process and give it 90 days. I want you to, don't stop at 30 days. Give it 90 days so that you can start following up, and always make that call on the day that you say you will. And the goal of that call is to get a meeting. When can I come to you? When can I talk to you? And just go from there. Be yourself, be authentic, and ask for the referral relationship.
Here's a tidbit of information I think but our listeners don't know.
Ooh.
I'll tell you, because I used to work, Karen's like, ooh, tell me. So I worked in the dental field for 18 years. And I will say, anytime, so I would go and get the mail and, sort through stuff. A handwritten addressed envelope with a regular stamp always stands out more and will be looked at quicker than something that was, like a metered stamp or something that was just, typed. So you probably did this. You probably hand wrote the.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yep.
It's more personal.
Yes.
It's personal.
Definitely.
It feels like you're wondering who wrote this. What's inside, right?
Yes. It definitely, just from some inside scoop, it works. Yeah, for sure. All right. So like we said before, be sure to grab Karen's referral partner email template at thewellnessbusinesspodcast.com/episode 19. And so let's give a preview for what's coming up next week. You're going to want to join us next week.
So
we had a very special guest that's going to be sharing their expertise about using a membership program model in your business for recurring monthly revenue. And this is something I know a lot of coaches have expressed interest in, but they're not quite sure how to do it. So join us for that.
Yeah, this guy is, we call him the king of membership sites.
Yes.
He's been doing it for 20 years, and he has done every model under the sun, and he is an expert.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So also, we would love for you to spread the word about the podcast. So be sure to let your colleagues know about it too. I know this is something that, whether they're in fitness, wellness, I think this podcast it's helping so many people already. So we'd love it if you could help spread the love. All right. Any final words of parting wisdom, Karen?
Just go for it. Really, just go for it. Fear and all, uncomfortable feelings and all, and it gets easier. Every day gets easier, and we all have resistance in some area of our life, of our business, and the only way through the resistance is by doing.
Yep, that's true. It doesn't get easier until you start doing. Yep. Very, very true.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thanks, Karen. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and we can't wait to see you back next week.
Yep. Have a great week, everyone.
Thank you for listening to the Wellness Business Podcast. For show notes and free resources, visit wbpodcast.com.